Welcome to today's video. We're going to be working on a really easy and simple technique to improve your breathing. And I hope that you can use this when you need it as a tool to help you soothe your nervous system, or as just a simple practice that you do every day to start learning this smoothness of the breath and this beautiful tool, this gift that we have every single day, which is to breathe, to receive in the oxygen, and to be able to share it out with whatever the trees can use as we exhale. So really, it's this information that we are is just so connected to everything around us. What we breathe and what we exhale is used by another being. What they exhale, we use as our source of life. And it's a beautiful exchange. It's a beautiful gift. And just taking those 5-10 minutes to really tune into that, to how nice it is to feel the flavor of the breath, to allow that breath to not hit the brain and come down and smoothly permeate every cell in your body, really starts allowing that nervous system to heal, and really gives you that opportunity to live a nice, energized life. So we're going to start out sitting in a position where you're feeling comfortable. And what that means is you can use a chair or you can sit on the floor. If you're going to sit in a yoga pose on the floor, here are a few things to watch out for. You want to sit in a pose where your sitting bones are touching the floor or your prop, so that you feel very comfortable in your back. So you're not going to have that rounding of the lower back and straining in the back or straining in your legs. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if you're sitting on the floor, I'm going to use a little bit of a prop here, and I'm going to sit in a pose called Hero's Pose or Virasana. So I linked below a few videos where I show you how to sit in this pose, but essentially what I want is I want to sit here comfortably where I'm not getting a lot of pain in my ankles. I am sitting, I'm supporting myself, and here I am not collapsing the body or rounding this lower back. So I'm able to have that normal curve of my spine there. And so then I can lift my chest here. If I'm rounded here, I can't lift from here. So a pose where I can sit comfortably and use the legs to keep the body lifted. So if I'm not able to do this, if I'm sitting with my legs out and I have a little bit of tightness in my hamstring, and you try to sit like this, you'll start understanding what I mean, because here, if we have a lot of tightness, we have a tendency to sit like this or to have to use the hands to support the body. So if that's the case, use some props to get you to a position where you don't need the hands to lift the torso up. And if you just don't have access to props, or if you're in your office or away from home and you want to do this, you can use a chair. And so I'll show you how that looks like. We're going to sit in the chair so that we're not leaning on the backrest of the chair, and make sure that your chair is fairly horizontal here so that you can put your feet on the ground and you can really have that opportunity to lift your chest, so that if you're sinking down on a chair, if it's too soft and you're sinking down, then it's going to be really hard to lift that chest. So sit in a comfortable position on a chair where you can press those sit bones down onto the chair and lift your chest here. So find your comfortable sitting position here, and you can choose the amount of time that you sit in this position. You're going to take 3 or 4 breaths normally here. And what I'm doing here is I am first sitting down and then allowing the sit bones to reach the floor there and to start allowing them to deposit their weight. So you're really grounding the sit bones on the floor, and you're lifting the chest a little bit just so that you're not collapsing. So you notice, okay, if I'm collapsing, I'm just going to sit on a chair, or I'm going to add another block underneath my sit bones so that I'm sitting comfortably. So take a few normal breaths just to sit down comfortably in your spot. Take another breath. So typically we have a tendency to hold tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat, and the belly. And so the next 3 breaths, you're just going to breathe and release any tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat, or the belly. And as we exhale, we release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So this will be a common sort of beat throughout this practice, where with every breath you're noticing if there's any tension that you can let go of in your eyes, your ears, and your throat, and you continuously do that throughout the practice. When we think of this lift of the chest and what it means, so in the beginning it's a physical lift, and we think of it as physical lift, and we spend energy in lifting that chest, and eventually it becomes an energetic lift. And this energetic lift is much more subtle. It takes time to develop it and nourish it, but that experience of learning how to do that is truly great. And the energetic lift is very, very powerful. So it's very powerful in the sense that it can help you release stress. It gives strength and confidence, and it's a wonderful thing to learn. And so the first step is to release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And the imagery here to starting out this lift of the chest would be, it's not a movement forward of the chest. So I'm not pushing my ribs forward to lift the chest. I'm lifting the chest. So it's more of an up and down movement here. So lift the chest versus lift the chest, like push the floating ribs out. All right, so the imagery here that we can think of is, you could picture your lungs being filled up with 2 helium balloons, and these helium balloons are just slowly lifting the chest. So when we lift the chest, the shoulders, the skin of the back remains like water falling down towards your sacrum. Right, so we're not lifting the shoulders also. So the shoulders stay relaxed where they sit, and then this internal lift, like these helium balloons, just lifting up as you inhale, and having that sort of energetic lift of the chest. So we're gonna take, so you can choose your imagery, you can choose the helium balloons, or you can choose, the support, this support that comes up and lifts it for you and keeps it there. And we'll take about 2 or 3 breaths here, and we will first soften the eyes, the ears, and the throat, and then using this help of the imagery, we inhale and we watch the chest just float up without building any extra tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And as you exhale, the lift remains and the air comes out of the lung, but the space and the lift, that stays. Of course, it's going to collapse a little bit, but we don't allow it to just collapse when we exhale. So inhale, lift, create a lightness in the head, a lightness in the eyes, the ears, and the throat, and then the belly also. And then hold this lift, almost energetically hold this lift without too much effort, and exhale. So the next step here would be to place your fingers onto your clavicle here, right below the clavicle. And the lift is going to come from here. So you're going to lift the chest here, and you're going to lift your hands right underneath the clavicles here. Lift, and then inhale, exhale, retain that lift as you exhale. So I'm going to come a little closer so you can see. So place the hands here, and you inhale, and you feel the lift here, and exhale. So the first step was to remove any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. The second step is that imagery where you have these helium balloons giving you that inner lift inside the lungs, sort of lifting the lungs for you while the shoulders stay down. The skin of the chest here comes up and then goes behind the collarbones. It's kind of like a big conveyor belt here where the chest keeps lifting, the skin comes up and then comes back down as you exhale. And so once you have that imagery, in your practice, then you can just start the practice by placing your fingers here underneath the collarbones. Inhaling, feel that lift, and that lift becomes more and more subtle, more and more less just muscular but energetic. And as we do this, we don't add any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. As we exhale, we try not to drop or collapse everything, although it will because you're exhaling, but try not to bring more tension in the eyes, ears, and throat as you exhale. So inhale. And exhale. And remember, we're inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. When you inhale, have the air come in and then come back down into the lungs versus coming in and hitting the brain. So the air comes in and it smoothly comes down. And when we're inhaling, the chest will expand to make room for the air to come flooding in, right? For the breath to flood it in and nourish it with oxygen and all kinds of wonderful nutrients. And so we are not expanding the chest with the breath, with the breath that we bring in. We are expanding the chest with the musculature to allow space for the breath to come in. I tighten, and I use that tightness as a resistance to really show how much I can use the musculature of my chest to open the space. So tighten a little bit, and then use the chest to expand away from the belt. So create a little resistance and then create that lateral space in the chest and exhale. So practice that a few times without bringing any additional tension to the eyes, the ears, or the throat. So the chest will expand just laterally and not just using your stomach to come in and out of the pose as you would while just breathing normally. So this technique, maybe you don't need to do this every day, but just a few times just to get that idea of, yes, there is a way to create space in the chest. If the chest is collapsed, a little bit difficult, but sit in a pose where you can lift the chest, learn that lift of the chest, create a little bit of lateral space, and start allowing that breath to come in and nourish and come out, but without bringing any tension to the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And the last thing we'll cover today is sometimes there is a definite sound to the breath that we're making, especially if you're practicing Ujjayi breath or these kinds of things. So creating that proper sound does take a lot of time and practice, and we can just start without forcing or creating any sounds with our breath, just creating the natural, normal sound that we have of this air coming in and out of the body. And so if you start taking, take 5 minutes to just listen to that sound coming in and out and in and out, there is a way of it being very soothing to the system, to the nervous system. So enjoy that noise of the air coming in and out, and then eventually learn or watch that noise becoming more and more uniform, so that it's not very labored or very loud as it's coming out or as you're breathing in. So make that sound of the breath as uniform as you can. And don't go about it by forcing it out slower or breathing in. Just breathe naturally and normally as you would, and just watch the progression through your practice of that sound becoming smoother and more uniform. And that will also improve the quality of the breath and the ability of the breath to soothe the nervous system and to give you all the benefits from a breathing practice. I hope that you're able to practice this. Please send any questions in the comments below. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you like it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.